Welcome to our Wednesday reaction series where we're looking at all the number one songs of the 1980s. We're up to March and April of 1981, and number one for 2 weeks during that time was Blondie with Rapture. This is Blondie's third appearance, our first three-time number one hitmaker of the 1980s, as a matter of fact. They were on top in 1980. They had a number one hit and the number one hit of the entire year of 1980 with Call Me. And then a few weeks before this, in the first few weeks of 1981, they had the number one song with The Tide is High. And they were back again by late March with Rapture. Rapture is famously the mainstream breakthrough of rap music. Between this, which was a bona fide chart-topping radio playlist having hit, and Rapper's Delight, which was a well-known song, but I don't think it charted as well, or maybe even at all at the time. But between those two songs, this was really the breakthrough for hip-hop, for rap music in the mainstream, for people to get exposed to it as a real thing, as opposed to just this phenomenon that was happening on the streets of New York. I have heard this song before. It's been many years. I feel like I say this on every video now, but I'm happy to revisit it and see, how Deborah Harry's rap skills sound to me now that I've had even more years of experience listening to hip hop and rap and the way it's evolved over the years. Just interested to see this one. Also interested to see the entire music video, which I don't believe I've seen before.
I said, my, flash is fast, flash is cool, Francois, c'est pas, flash ain't no do, and you don't stop, shoot a shot, go out to the parking lot, and you get in your car and drive real far, and you drive all night, and then you see a light, and it comes right down, and it lands on the ground, and out comes a man from Mars, and you try to run, but you got a gun, and he shoots you dead, and he eats your head, and then you're in the man from Mars, you go out at night, eating cars, you eat Cadillacs, Lincolns too, Mercury's and Subaru, and you don't stop, you keep on eating cars. Then, when there's no more cars, you go out at night and eat up bars where the people meet. Face to face, dance cheek to cheek, one to one, man to man, dance toe to toe. Don't move too slow, cause the man from Mars is through with cars. He's eating bars, yeah, wall to wall, door to door, hall to hall, he's gonna eat them all. Rap shot. Cause the man from Mars stopped eating cars and eating bars, and now he only eats guitars. Get up!
am going to venture to say that they used the same video director for this as they did for The Tide is High. And if you watched that reaction video, you may have noticed that I poked a lot of fun at that music video. But I think there was a large degree of self-awareness at how campy that video was. Same here. I think they knew that what they were doing was not just avant-garde, it was just a little silly. But in this case, I think the almost random low-tech approach, and I call it low-tech, but I don't know if maybe at the time they didn't really think of it as presenting that way. But I think here it works a lot better. I actually enjoyed the process of matching up this visual to the lyrics, because the lyrics to me are very impressionistic. Especially the sung vocals at the beginning, and it's more absurdist when it comes to the rap lyrics. And I don't know if, to me, early rap music or that in the streets of New York was more so focused on more or less literal meta kind of things, like here I am rapping a song and I'm better than this person and I have this going for me and they're a joke and I'm good. And it was more or less a bragging competition. It was more or less a way of starting the party. It was hyping up the crowd and boastfulness. That's my understanding of what early rap lyrics were more so about. And I don't know if Debbie Harry took this in an entirely absurdist direction on her own, or whether there was a tradition already in rap music where they would talk about interesting things like space aliens, eating cars, and then eating bars, which conveniently rhymes with cars, and then eating guitars, which conveniently rhymes with both bars and guitars. I mean, bars and cars. And then the brief guitar solo happens, which makes me wonder, was that supposed to be the sound of a guitar being eaten? But when you're inside that world of cars being eaten, it becomes its own little universe of absurdity, and it's fun, and it makes a kind of internal sense. And therefore the video kind of does as well. I think there's a clear vision with this video, whereas The Tide is High kind of used a bunch of different set pieces to try to pull together some sort of Star Wars inspired story. This one happens at a party, and then it goes out into this sort of streetscape common area where these different characters are interacting or not quite interacting with each other. It echoes the lyrics of the song. It echoes the cultural influences of the song. It's very symbolic, and it's very symbolic in the video that they have the black guy in the all white with the top hat dancing, and then we have a girl behind him who is in a ballerina outfit doing the same dance move, but in ballet fashion. It's speaking to the amalgamation of different cultures, of different types of music, and it all kind of works together. So to me, this video is so much more complete video. I'm not necessarily poking fun at these videos because they don't have large budgets. It's more so about the fact that, you know, the Titus High kind of was disjointed and just didn't make a lot of sense, and on top of that, it was cheap. But this one really made a lot more sense and tied into the song in a way that was meaningful and actually accentuated and elevated the meaning of the song. It's been spoken and repeated over and over how influential this song was in putting rap music on the map for not only white people, but for people outside of New York City, because it was, to my mind, it was very much a very local phenomenon in 1981, and it hadn't even really spread to the West Coast, or certainly not to the South, to my knowledge. But I mean, I'm sure there were people here and there that were doing it, but it just wasn't. It was still in its infancy. But in 1981, I was a child, so I have no clue what was going on in the streets of any random city outside of New York City. That's just my overall impression of where rap was at the time. So you can correct me in the comments if I'm a little off on my chronology there, on my rap history. But this is a thoroughly engaging song. Deborah Harry is such a vocal chameleon. The sort of high-pitched, airy vocals that she's doing throughout the first part of the song, except when she's singing the word Rapture, where she goes back into that what I called Liza Minnelli kind of tone that she was singing in during the Titus High. Ethereal, and it was mysterious, and it really fit the kind of surreal kind of imagery that she was putting out there, attempting to, or succeeding in rapping for a good 2 minutes straight there. The rhyme scheme and the verbiage and everything seems a little elementary, almost literally elementary, as in elementary school by today's standards. Or especially, maybe not today's standards, but we've lived through rap history where we've had people like Rakim, Ice Cube, Eminem, people who just really can, Andre 3000, people who can just really just like get in there and make double and triple entendres while maintaining complex meters and doing internal rhymes and external rhymes and references and all this other stuff. And back in 1981, nobody was doing this. This isn't Deborah Harry operating at some really very low frequency of rap proficiency. This is, by and large, where rap music was at this time. And I think she did a great job for where rap music was at that time. But most of all, it's about the influence. And let's not forget the backing track on this. I don't know because I know that on various songs, Blondie kind of switched out musicians or used studio musicians or had studio musicians dropped into their mixes and so forth. I don't know to what extent they played their own music. The music here sounds very much like Chic to me, so I don't know if Nile Rodgers had anything to do with this song or any of his associates in Chic, or to what extent they were just mimicking that general disco / post-disco style at the time. But it worked really well. The beat on this is really nice, and the guitar work is very funky. If this is in fact the band Blondie playing on this one, and I'm only questioning that because I know that they didn't actually play on Call Me. If this is in fact them, they did a really good job capturing that sound of the time, and that makes them just as much of chameleons as Debbie Harry was. So I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun, and it's really so interesting to see the origins of the foundations of what would become the most popular music in some respects in in the U.S. in decades, within a couple of decades, and the immense influence that hip hop has had, and seeing something like this as a foundational block that allowed people to build on this and establish rap as a legitimized recorded music form, as opposed to just a live music form, which is, I think, more so where it lived around this time, or definitely in the 70s. So a great historical artifact here, and just a jamming record on top of that. Next week we'll be going further into April of 1981, and we'll be looking at Daryl Hall and John Oates with Kiss on My List. That's the next number one song we'll be looking at next Wednesday. Please like this video in the meantime if you did indeed like it. Please subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. And most of all, please make music better.